Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel today. We're back with a highlights video from the FIA Nations race. It was round number 1 of season 2 at Autopolis in the new Toyota GR86. So the car was actually quite enjoyable to use, but top split was insanely difficult in the first 2 or 3 slots of the day. We did do some okay qualifying. I think we finished in one of them, got like 280 odd points, but it was just incredibly hard, very high rated lobbies. 4th slot just dropped massively. It went from I think slot 3 was 400 points, slot 4 randomly down to 340, and annoyingly I didn't get a slipstream qualifying in. So yeah, we're starting down in P8. So yeah, remember, if you do enjoy these videos though, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscription button if you haven't already subscribed, and hit the notification button so you don't miss any future videos or live streams. And also let me know in the comment section how you got on with your races, and if you enjoyed this race, what you thought about this car. I for one did actually enjoy this race. So let's get this race underway. We're starting from P8. Let's see if we can make any progress starting from P8. So straight away got quite a nice start, actually a better start than P7 there. You can see in the very brightly coloured yellow and black there, Toyota 86. So we got quite a nice start. However, we got the slipstream on the inside, so I went to the left here. We're going to try and brake a little bit later and try and almost go round the outside of a few cars. So we actually managed to get side by side with P6, and just about he gives us enough space there. He doesn't do a Lando Norris on us and push us off the track, so luckily we've got the space on the outside still. And again, we're going to try and do the same thing, brake as late as we possibly can and go around the outside. And again, much respect to P6, he gives us the space there. He doesn't squeeze us off the track. And again, we give him the space on the exit there. Good side-by-side racing. So here, we try and go as far down the outside as possible. However, I think he gets punted a little bit from the brightly coloured yellow Toyota 86 there, which nudges him into SVDR, which actually helps him out. So annoyingly, we don't then get the inside into this corner. I think if that nudge wouldn't have happened, we possibly would have ended up on the inside going into this section. But we've gained 1 position from the start there, so straight away up to P7, and now we've just got to settle down, brake bias all the way to the rear. I did find this perfectly. It drove reasonably well, and yeah, it helped look after them front tyres, because the front tyres at this combination were really taking a beating in this Toyota 86. So yeah, 5 to the rear, and now we've got to get into a rhythm and see if we can gain any more places. Really, in this race, to get the 300 points that we needed to finish, I think, at least P4. I think P4 was 303 or something like that, or around 300 points. So that is what we really wanted, because annoyingly, I think our pace was not bad by the time we got used to the track and combination. Definitely started to pick up a bit, but qualifying, you needed the slipstream. Without the slipstream, you lost like 3 or 4 attempts in qualifying, so it was essential to get that really if you wanted to start in the top 3 or 4 positions. So we got Zavizic just there in P4, you can see. We got SVDR back on GT Sport. Great to see SVDR playing the game again. So actually some fast drivers in it. We've also got PCM, I think they're in P2 right behind Aura. So actually quite a few fast drivers in this race that we're coming up against, but there was some, it was kind of a mixture lobby. There was a few drivers from normal top split and a few drivers from split 2, and maybe some from even split 3. So it was a bit of a cross between different splits this race as we work our way down into turn 1. Very clean racing. One thing I will say about the whole day really, every race we were entered, the racing was really respectful and very clean throughout the field. I didn't really see any dirty driving as such. There was the odd little incident of someone maybe overstepping the mark on what space should be given every now and then, but in general I think the racing was extremely clean and respectful, and always good to see that. One of the problems probably was because people knew that once you lose a slipstream in this combination, it was very hard to catch another car back up, because it's a road car race. This track as well, with that long straight, you gain quite a bit with the slipstream. As we take a look at the replay camera there, getting pretty close through that section, but again you can see the field pretty close, apart from you can see Aura up there, I think in P1 has managed to put a bit of a gap to P2. I think he's actually broke the slipstream to PCM there, so Aura managing to get away from the cars behind, which is going to be great for him, because that means he's going to have a nice solo run without really having to worry about cars battling behind him and going for moves. So you can see PCM's got a car right behind him, so he's got to be very cautious there in P2 of obviously moves going up the inside and stuff. But at the moment we're in P7, we've got quite a nice gap to P8. So for myself at the moment, we can't really go for an overtake at any point, because the problem we've got here is that P6 is getting the slipstream from P5, so on the straights we're not really we're not going to gain anything on him, so we're just trying to stay pretty clean, try and get the lines nice and smooth, and also try and look after the front tyres, because the front tyres were the tyre that took the beating, like I said before. So for the last lap or two, you want to try and get as good a tyres as possible if you have to do any sort of battling. You know, you never know, you might be able to gain a position. As you see, I think Zavizic there having a look up the inside of P3. It looks like he's trying to put a lot of pressure on one car there, but yeah, we got P5 SVDR there going through the corner as well, just ahead of P6, and very line astern at the moment, almost train-like. This is the problem with these races with the slipstream. It does tend to turn into a bit of a train race of a lot of cars just following behind each other. But yeah, fast forward the action a little bit through here until we get just through to the sector, and you're going to see a little bit of a free wide situation happen. You can see there's a move by SVDR on Zavizic, goes up the inside, but then doesn't get on the power very nice. Zavizic then very close to P3 also, who's now got the inside line for that corner. This is bunching everyone back up, and what this is doing again, it's just giving Aura the ability to just pull away. You can see the gap. Look at that gap that Aura's got in the distance there. He's just pulling away from this battle, but we're just sitting back. I'm just sitting back at this point and just trying to see what's happening. I'm having a little look up the inside just so I can see what's going on. Going back to the outside, and yeah, just trying to make sure we hit our braking points. We see PCM going very wide for it, almost losing control of his car. Just about manages to save it, but that's going to be a few positions lost by PCM there. So he went from P2 all the way down to P5. So not a very good corner for him there. We got Zavizic up to P3. So Zavizic has got quite nice there. He's managed to gain a few positions, and now we can push on. But for myself, it's very difficult because there's so much battling going on front. I didn't want to wreck the race. We didn't want to be too overly aggressive at the start by, you know, sending one up the inside. So again, trying to just wait for that opportunity so we can go for an overtake as we come through this turn one again, trying to get a good exit. We see P6 going for a move on PCM. PCM's having a bit of a nightmare here. He's now down to P6. And I was thinking about going for a dive here. You can see we had a bit of a slipstream, but I thought, no, it's not really worth sending it up the inside there. It's probably just going to end in an instant. So backed out of that and decided to just tuck in behind PCM now and just hope that there's going to be opportunities arise. You know, it's very difficult in these type of cars because obviously they're not going the fastest. They're quite slow, but they're actually quite an enjoyable car. I think if you did a league with this car, maybe put it on softer tyres, on the sports soft tyres, up the power a little bit, give it a bit more acceleration and a bit more speed, I think it'd make quite an enjoyable league racing car because it does actually handle reasonably well. It's got a decent front end. The rear's a little bit loose, but again, if you put sports soft tyres on it, I think it would become quite a nice car for a league race. So again, we're going to fast forward the action as we got, again, cars just following in slipstream. You can see that I think Zavizic there is closing in on P2. So P2 completely lost the slipstream from obviously Aura there. Aura's just pulling away now. No cars to battle with, so he's just gonna, this is the problem. So when you all battle, all you do is all lose time. So it's just a case of sticking with this group at the moment. We've got a nice comfortable gap to P8. You can see behind this area, he's not really putting us under that much pressure. So my thoughts at this stage are just try and stay in the slipstream, try and keep the front tyres alive as much as possible. We're obviously running that 5 to the rear bias, so if anyone in front's running like 2 or 1 to the rear, then they're going to have a lot worse tyres on the last few laps than what I'm going to have. So you never know what could happen. There might be some opportunities, but we can see going into braking zone for turn 1, we're going to see, are they going to go for a move into this turn 1? Very close racing. You can see P2, Zavizic there has got himself up to P2 from with the overtake on the VQS driver, and almost just over a second separating P2 to P7 where I am. So, you know, it's all to play for in this race. However, I did know that Zavizic's pace in this was pretty good in this Toyota 86, so it's going to be a case of, can we just try and hang with him? Will Zavizic manage to pull away and build a lead up now in this race as we go down the left again, trying to cut back and get quite a good exit from here to see if we can maybe, you know, go around the outside or, you know, get a good exit from one of the corners. And you never know, it's just trying to find that extra little bit of acceleration from somewhere to get yourself in a position to go for a move, because one of the main overtaking places is obviously into the braking zone up here. You can see again, not really close enough to go for a move this time. So yeah, we're gonna have to just sit back and wait for that opportunity again, because you really need to be almost on the bumper of a car to go for an overtake into this corner, because although it's a slow hairpin, the way that the camber works on the corner, if you brake a little bit too late, you end up just running wide and it's very hard to slow the car down. So working our way on the downhill section now into this very tricky right hand corner again, staying in 4th gear and just trying to get the car to skim that apex on the throttle as early as you can, and actually doing it quite well there. You can see hooking that up nicely, and again not overdriving the car, being quite smooth at the moment. So we're staying with these drivers. A tyre wear, you can see we've got quite a lot of tyre wear on the front, but it's not too bad. I think this was our best race in terms of looking after the front tyres that we had done from slot 1, 2, 3, and this was obviously slot 4. So the tyres looking okay at this stage of the race. However, you know, it's only a 10-lap race. We're coming to the end of lap 6, so we've only got 4 more laps to really get any progress done. We can see Zavicic still up there, going slightly wider for this final corner to get on the power as early as I can to try and give myself, you know, nice top end speed for the braking zone as we work our way down the main straight again. And again, we're going to cross that line. The pace wasn't actually that fast at the moment. You can see only in the low 12s. In previous races we'd got ourselves into the low 11s. Now that possibly will help our tyre wear towards the end of the race, obviously, because we're not driving the car as aggressively through the corners. But you can see PCM there getting close again to P5, but it looks like Zavicic is starting to pull a bit of a gap between P3 and 4. You can see that obviously P3 is getting the slipstream from Zavicic, and he's enabling that gap to a P. You can just about see it there. You can just see tiny bit of a gap. Almost, I think that's actually broken the slipstream from SVDR. So Zavicic helped pulling P3 away from this battle, and we're still there in P7, just waiting for an opportunity at the moment. We're just trying to see. You can see going wide again. PCM giving the GT4R driver a little nudge through the corner. He's now got the outside line into this really fast left-hand corner. So I decided to just take our normal line, and you never know, we might be able to get ourselves in the position, because they're going to go awkward through here, and their exits are going to be compromised. So trying to get on the power as early as we can. Going to go for that fourth gear upshift a little bit early just to get the momentum up the hill. And now we're very, very close to PCM. Can we go for a move? We're going to stay. We was going to go to the left, and then I decided to stay to the right, brake as late as we can, and we see PCM has just completely misjudged that braking that we talked about. With that off-camber corner, you get the braking slightly wrong there, and you just go in like a missile off. So unfortunate for PCM there. Very easy mistake to make though into that braking zone, because another thing is you're unsighted with the braking point as you're going through into that corner, because obviously you've got cars on your right, so you're unsighted with the brake board. So unfortunate for PCM there, but fortunate for myself, up into P6, and now we're going to fast forward the action, getting closer to P5 now. But you can see again that gap that's developed. You can see Zavicic has pulled P2, pulled P3, sorry, away from P4. SVDR is built a gap up now to P5, and I'm trying to find a way past this driver now in front, because my pace actually was getting pretty decent at this stage. So just trying to find a way past, because if we're going to get that position done on SVDR, we really need to do it probably before the end of this lap. You can see I'm trying to put him under pressure. We're trying to find different lines. We're just trying to work him side by side, really trying to figure a way past him. You see up the inside there, trying to give him, you know, the wider line, but that's going to compromise our exit slightly. And what I wanted to do was try and get the outside line into this fast left-hand corner again, so that his exit is compromised, but just wasn't able to do that. But again, hooking that corner up, getting the car right onto the apex, upshifting to 4th gear nice and early, and you can see just trying to get as close as we can into this next braking zone, where we saw PCM completely misjudge it. And again, you can see using the full width for the track there. Again, not close enough to send it there though. So again, just trying to stay as close as we can, just in case he makes a mistake at some point. But again, you can see on that replay camera the gaps that are developing. You can see Zavicic there with the VQS driver right behind him, and then a gap to SVDR where he's lost the slipstream, and then another gap, quite a big gap actually, to the driver in front of me in P5 that has lost the slipstream now. So you can see he seems to be suffering with pace, and it's very important. I needed to get past him now, because you can see that a lot of other cars are starting to catch up this battle, because the driver in front of me just doesn't seem to have probably the tyre wear. My guess is his tyres were fading a lot more than what ours and other drivers around him have. So he does seem to be struggling with pace. So it's going to be very important that I get past him as soon as possible, because we've only got a couple of laps to go. This is, I think, the end of lap 8, and that means 2 more laps to go when we go over the line. So it's going to be very awkward to see if we can catch up to SVDR, especially with how fast SVDR is, although he hasn't played the game for quite a long time. So you never know. You can see there visually, though, there is quite a large gap between P4 and P5 as we're getting the slipstream from the GT4R driver now down the main straight, and you can see we're possibly going to be able to go for a move. He doesn't go defensive. He almost went to go defensive, but then decided not to. We're going to brake as late as we can, swing it into the apex, and just about make the apex. We do tap him slightly there on the exit. However, I think it was just one of them where he turned in a little fraction too early. We obviously drove in quite aggressive in this corner, but our pace was that much stronger. We're through up into P5 now as we fast forward the action on lap 9, and we are starting to gain on SVDR on this lap, and you can see getting us a little bit closer every now and then, but he hasn't got the slipstream to P3, so I decided to give it all on these final 2 laps and just see. You never know, if you put him under pressure, someone might make a mistake that could give you the slipstream, and then you might be able to go for a move. So we're going to join this final lap now. You can see that the gap to Aura there just under 8 seconds, and the gap to SVDR down to about 1.6, I think it is now. So going into the braking zone, you can see we've already actually, with that 1 lap away from the driver behind, we've built up a gap to 1.2 seconds, and also we slightly caught up to P3 now. So let's see what we can do on this final lap. We've got 1 lap to go. We're in P5, not the worst position for an FIA race. It's a top 5. However, I really wanted to get that P4, but you can see we are gaining through this section here, gaining a 10th or so every little sector, getting closer and closer. But it's just a shame this race was only 10 laps. Maybe if it was a couple of laps extra, we might have been able to catch up to even P3, because you can see by just looking at the distance we are gaining on P3. Zavicic is pulling away from P3, so P3 is clearly suffering with them front tyres, and also SVDR seems to be suffering through the fast corners. You can see there as we get on the power down to 1.2 seconds, so I think we've gained like 3 tenths on SVDR on this 1 lap. So trying to push as aggressively as we can. Our tyres are in reasonably good condition. Obviously I've had the slipstream through most of the race as well, which is another factor into saving your tyres, because when you're in the slipstream you don't have to brake as late, you can brake it a little bit earlier, smoother on the throttle. It all helps with saving your tyres, so that is one of the reasons again why our tyres are probably a bit better than some of the cars in front of us, because I don't think they all had slipstream throughout the whole race. But again, through this long right hand corner, trying to use the whole of the track and actually doing it, considering the tyre on the front of the car, we're actually driving quite nice, and we're getting closer and closer to the cars in front. You can see we're down to getting close to 1.1 second behind SVDR. We're getting very close to P3. You can see SVDR is actually nearly in the slipstream of P3, so it shows you that his tyres are clearly suffering, and we're actually not losing any time to Aura at this stage of the race. So as soon as we got past that car, our pace just instantly went. You can see it on the timing there. We just instantly started going a lot faster as soon as we had got past the driver, was it GT4R driver. As soon as we got past him, our pace went 4 or 5 tenths quicker straight away. So down to the line, and we managed to finish just under, I think it's about 8 tenths, 9 tenths behind SVDR, and we actually did quite a good lap on that final lap. I think it was a 12.3, which on the final lap with the worn tyres was actually pretty solid. But yeah, just needed another lap or 2 to maybe get ourselves close to SVDR and maybe up to P3. But if we would have qualified better, I think we'd have had a podium, but unfortunately we didn't get that qualifying done, so we have to take the top 5. 287 points. I didn't do the slot 5 race because the points were dropping massively, and decided to take them points. But yeah, a fun race, very clean again. All day the racing was very clean and respectful, so always good to see that type of racing in the FIA races. Enjoyable racing again. Just wish that race would have been a tiny bit longer. Maybe it would have opened up a bit more fun towards the end. But yeah, remember, if you do enjoy these videos, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with more in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.